It Up with Tyson, Jay Lamar, and Simone. Talk It Up.
Welcome to Talk It Up. You know, the show that keeps it real with you all the time. We have an amazing interview scheduled for later with an amazing filmmaker named Nesta. You don't want to miss that. But first, we have some amazing topics for you. Of course, we keep our ears and eyes glued to the street in a segment that we like to call Street Talk, where we keep it real with you and bring you everything that the streets are talking about. So let's go ahead and jump into our very first topic of the day, which is... Y'all ready for this?
Ready.
Are you sure you're ready for this? Because it's not a good one. And it is the fact that Lara Pippen is still dating a married basketball player. And, you know, she has defended this by saying that, oh, well, they're having marriage issues or, you know, it's not a happy home anyway. What do you think about that?
They should be completely separated before, right? I mean, I'm asking you because you know.
So let's, technically speaking, if you are married to somebody and you're going through a separation, I feel like you still can get to know and date somebody else because honestly, you're breaking up. No, she can't marry him and he can't marry her, but if he's going through a separation, then yes, he's legally still married, but him and his wife are separating. Now, word on the curb, allegedly, was that she was dating him. Wow.
And the him that you're referring to is Malik Beasley.
Yeah, Malik and Laura were dating. Larsa, I'm sorry. Malik and Larsa were dating prior to him getting the divorce or getting the separation. So that's where the issue kind of started. And I think that's where a lot of people like turned heads because they were filmed walking through an airport together, remember holding hands, and his wife at the time commented and was like, you know, she was just finding out as we were finding out that her husband was with Larsa. So that's a problem.
But see, this is where it gets a little tricky for me. If you're separated, are you not allowed to date? Or do you have to wait until you sign on the dotted line and the judge, bam, okay, you're divorced? Like, is that when you're allowed to date? Like, how does that, what's the proper etiquette? Or like, what's the way that that's supposed to play out?
I think the proper etiquette is if you are separated and you know you're going to divorce, you are allowed to date. And you should date if you want to date. And then when the divorce is final, then you can consider possible remarriage, a more stronger and solid commitment to that other person. However, if you are married and your wife is at home thinking you married and you in the streets and you don't think you married, y'all need to have a conversation to kind of figure out what page y'all on because obviously you're on two different pages. And for this particular story, they were on two different pages.
Right. I think that they need to be on the same page. I think that's the most important part about it. I agree. I think if they are separated but still legally married, but they plan on going through the divorce, you know, at some point, if they both come to the same decision about dating, then it's fine. But you can't just go out dating if your wife still thinks that you are committed to her.
I mean, just have some decorum about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you know that y'all have not gone through the proper channels yet, why are you out here gallivanting with somebody holding hands or the paparazzi can snap you? Like,
and in Larsa's instance, I think it's kind of disrespectful to her own self for you to even want to be photographed. You know that you're a celebrity. You know that Malik is a celebrity. You shouldn't want to be filmed or photographed with this married man because then you're going to be labeled as she is.
Because she has allegedly has a history of jumping from one married man to another complicated situation to another potential married complicated situation. So it's like
Well, she came from a complicated married situation too. So they all got something in common.
That's true. Maybe that's where she's comfortable. Maybe that's what she likes. Maybe she likes the drama.
Maybe she likes the complication.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump into a whole other topic. I want to switch gears a little bit and jump into the fact that being black right now seems to be kind of trendy. And when I say that, you know, we've always been in style as far as I'm concerned.
Period.
But really, you see everyone trying to do everything they can to be more ethnic looking. So, you know, there's the whole tanning situation. There are all the injections that one may get from the lips to the butt to the boobs to everything. What do you think about that, one? And then two, was there anything that you were teased about as a child that's now like in style? For example, when I was a kid before braces, I had a gap. And so no one ever teased me about it. It was something that I didn't like. But now gaps are everywhere. Nobody, like Michael Strahan has one of the biggest careers in the media, and he has a gap. Like he's kind of famous because of his gap. So what is something that you had? Or not that you had, but you know what I mean? Something that you know people used to get teased about or is not in style, but now is.
Back then, when I was younger, dark-skinned girls were not the thing. We were not who people wanted to be with. We were kind of like the last resort everyone wanted. You know, light skin was in back then, and I think that times are changing now where people value the dark skin and people are wanting to get tans, and we're seen as being a little bit more trendy, a little bit more desirable. So it's interesting how things change that way. But specifically, like facial features, definitely the lips, for sure, for me.
Lips, yeah.
I think for me, being fashion forward. At a young age, first off, my mother was a stylist. My mother was in the makeup industry for 25 years. She was a seamstress. So I always took to her fashion. So for me, like being fashionable, I was that kid. First off, I love monochromatic looks. Can you see it?
Why are you laughing?
I can see an 8-year-old Jay like out here just dressed to the nines.
And like I love like monochromatic look. I had this one outfit, y'all, that was brown. And it was like a brown, it was like a brown checkered shirt with like some brown pants. I wore these brown boots.
he was killing them.
That was my favorite outfit when I was like
nice.
10.
You're probably so cute.
I was so cute. But I was really into fashion. And back then, kids always just wear like white t-shirt. That's when a white t-shirt, tall tees and stuff were in. And I was never really a sneaker kid. I always liked dress shoes and, you know, things like that. So like, remember Chelsea boots? I was always into like boots and stuff. So I was always teased as a young kid for being fashion forward. And then I used to like to iron. So I used to like wear creases in my pants. So I was teased for my creases too. Dang. And it was like, I knew I was ahead of my time. You know, I knew that you're supposed to be, maybe them kids, because they was wrinkled, they was mad.
They were upset.
They real mad now. But, you know, I was ironing at like 6 and 7 years old. It's just because of how I was brought up. But I think I was teased more so for being like fashion forward.
Well, once again, let's go ahead and switch gears a little bit because I do think this whole topic about black being trendy, that's not going anywhere. Kim Kardashian faced a lot of backlash. Actually, that whole Kardashian clan has faced a backlash for what people are calling appropriating the culture in the sense that they started rocking cornrows. And then all of a sudden, cornrows were like this big deal in pop culture. And it's like, but hold on.
We've been doing cornrows.
Y'all been rocking cornrows since forever. Just like Miley Cyrus and twerking. And she started twerking and then the whole world was like, oh, she invented twerking.
No, she didn't.
I'm sorry. Do we not remember Uncle Luke and all of them from back in the 90s? They've been twerking since the beginning of time. Come on.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and switch gears a little bit, though. And I want to talk about Romani Malco, who just had a baby at the age of 50. Actually, 52. What do you think about that? Because people are congratulating him, yes, and celebrating him, yes. But then you think about other artists who had babies over the age of 50, and they kind of got a little side-eye. Janet Jackson, who had a baby at 50, people gave her the side-eye a little bit, like, really? That's what you're going to do? And Brigitte Nielsen, she had a baby, I think, at 51, and people kind of gave her the side-eye. You know, she's famous for most recently linking with Flavor Flav during his whole stint with that reality show. So what do you think about a baby at 50?
I think that it's becoming more normal for people to have babies later on in life. I read the statistic the other day that our generation is actually waiting the longest to have kids compared to all the other generations. But with him specifically, he is a male, so I think it's different with men because you guys can have kids, you know, whenever really, I'm pretty sure. But with women, it is different. So I'm not too shocked. It's cool that he's doing it. I think that it's starting to happen more often.
Yeah, I feel like, as you said, with our generation, we are waiting a lot longer. We're waiting until we get those degrees. We're waiting until we travel more and experience life more before we incorporate children. With our parents, it's a little bit different. They chose, you know, family first, and then later on got into their careers. We're choosing career in ourselves, and then children, which there's nothing wrong with that. Whatever choice you want to make is good for you. I think in this situation, it's exciting because he was a father already to his wife's children. She had an 11-year-old, and I think a 19-year-old. So he talked about how, in the article, he talked about how being their parent prepared him to be the parent that he's going to be his child now. I think it's exciting that if people have that on their list of accomplishments to do, no matter at what age, to have a child is a beautiful thing. So I think it's exciting and it's good for him to be able to have that opportunity to have his own child.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think, like you were saying, our generation is having children later. And I think before people start to judge and, oh, why are y'all waiting so late to have children? There are a few things that you need to take into consideration. One, life expectancy is a lot, well, not a lot, but it's longer than it used to be. So now it's like, oh, well, if I know that I'm at least more than likely gonna make it to like 80, oh, okay, cool, I can wait till like 40 to start having kids. And then also, I think people fail to realize our generation is traumatized like no one can believe. We were the first generation to have to deal with school shootings. We were the first generation after the school shootings to have to deal with 9/11 and while we were in school. And then after that, the moment we get into the workplace, the older millennials, when the market crashed in 2008, who were the first people to let go? The millennials that were fresh into the workplace. Then we just start getting into social media like, oh, I'm gonna take control of my career and I'm gonna make my own way with social media. We get into that and then what happens? This global pandemic. Like, it's all of these things that keep happening. It's like, you know, why would we wanna bring a child into this right now when our lives never seem to be settled? Just when we think we have it under control, the rug gets snatched from under us, where I feel like the other generations had a little bit more solid foundation. They knew it for the most part. They had a plan laid out. You're gonna go to school, you're gonna do this, you're gonna get married, and this is what your life is going to be. But when we came along, we were fed a bunch of fairy tales and lies. Your Prince Charming or Princess Charming is gonna show up and life is gonna be this, and that just has not been the case.
Do y'all notice that, you know, back in the day, having a lot of kids was like 4 or more. Like, oh, you got a lot of kids, you got 4 or more. In this generation, birth rates are down. Having 2 kids,
That's a lot.
it's a lot of kids.
Yeah, that's a lot of
My
kids.
friends got 2. I'm like, oh, you got a lot, 2 kids, a lot of kids.
Sheesh.
You don't see people having 14 kids anymore.
No, you don't.
It's
you don't.
2 is
Two
enough.
is
How many can fit in this
good.
2-seater? You know
Can
what I'm
you
saying?
imagine
Right.
14 children in this pandemic in one house and we're all stuck in here together?
No.
That's a
I
lot.
can't imagine
Yeah.
more than 2.
More
That's
than
what, like,
right.
Well, what I want you to imagine is staying right here because we have more Talk It Up coming up right after this. Keep it locked. Welcome back to Talk It Up. It's time to get real with our segment that we like to call Real Talk. In this segment, we go a little bit deeper with our topics and have conversations that we expect to last long after we leave this table. So I want to talk about matchmaking. You know, back in the day, it was very common for someone to pair you with your significant other, whether that be a family member. Families would get together and set up these arranged marriages. But we're seeing a lot of people turn back to dating coaches and people to help them find love. So what do you think about that? Is that the new normal now, to now have a dating coach as someone to help you find your soulmate?
Yeah, I just want to say that this story is 100% true. So I own a matchmaking and dating service company. I am a certified matchmaker and relationship expert. So it's actually funny. I would say over the course of the past year, my numbers have like tripled in response to people reaching out for our dating services and for our matchmaking services. So I think that people are finally realizing that either they don't have the time, energy, or effort into picking their soulmate, or they're just not doing a good job at it. So they're seeking coaches and matchmakers to kind of pair them up with somebody. For me, I think it's exciting because what I do is like a 2-step process. I interview and consult with the person that wants to be matched. Then I take the questionnaire that I get from them, take it and put it into my database. I have a whole database full of applicants that are looking for love. And I try to match up exactly like, okay, so if Tyler likes long walks on the beach and loves to travel, let me make sure I find somebody that has that common interest. And I think a lot of the times when we're getting to know somebody, we miss asking those important key questions like, what do you enjoy doing? Like, what makes us compatible outside of physical attraction?
Right.
So having that third party, that matchmaker, that dating coach, is what you need to kind of see things that you normally wouldn't see, along with red flags and things of that nature.
I find matchmaking so interesting because you look at a couple like R&B singer Tamia NBA husband, former NBA husband, Grant Hill, they were connected by Anita Baker. She connected them, and they have been together for 20 plus years. So obviously there's something to this whole matchmaking thing.
Yeah, and I think what's cool about matchmaking is that you are putting it in someone else's hands. You're not getting so caught up in physical appearance, because I think sometimes we're so physically attracted that we just look at that and we kind of take everything else and deal with it afterwards. But if someone's pairing you up and it's based on, personality traits and what you like to do, I think you're more open to just dating whomever that person is.
Yeah. As far as me, like, even with being single, it's exciting, I think, more so when, like, my friends pair me with somebody opposed to me pairing myself with somebody, because, like I said, that second pair of eyes is able to capture things that you probably normally wouldn't see. Right. Have you guys ever been matched?
I was just about to ask you, what should someone look for in a matchmaker? So you know that, okay, as a matchmaker, you're gonna do X, Y, and Z, but if someone is out here looking for a matchmaker, especially since you're in that field, what are some things that they should be looking for? Like, how does someone fill you out to know if you're even a good matchmaker?
So as you're being interviewed, you should be interviewing your matchmaker too, making sure they're asking the important questions. They should not be asking you all about what physical requirements are you looking for. It should be, okay, what do you like to do? What do you want your partner to do? What do you want them to bring to the table? What are the core qualities that you're looking for outside of physical traits? I watch a lot of matchmakers often talk about, oh, are you looking for somebody that's 5'7"? Okay, are you looking for somebody that weighs 135 pounds? That's not enough, because physicalities fade.
Right.
It's truly about, okay, what do you two have in common that can make you guys go the long haul?
Yes.
I like that.
Yes.
Well, there you go. For those of you that are looking for matchmakers, now you know what you need to look for. Let's talk about this other topic that caught my eye that really kind of sent me to a whole other place, and that is that in Florida there is a city commissioner that is basically rationing out the vaccine, the COVID vaccine, to the 2 richest zip codes in her area. And then once they're sent to those 2 richest areas, there's now a VIP list for those to get the vaccine. And this is being supported by the governor of Florida, which is Republican Governor DeSantis. What do you think about that?
I think that the more and more that happens day by day, the further we get into this whole, the COVID and the pandemic itself, I think that the way that it's being handled, it just continuously makes people feel more and more uncomfortable. Why is that something that needs to be done? I think that it makes people think, and makes people scared and uncomfortable, especially if you're not of those zip codes.
Yeah.
What are you supposed to do?
Yeah. As they distribute the vaccine out, I've only heard them talk about, your age, and then how likely you are to, or susceptible you are to the COVID, to getting COVID. So now hearing that money and wealth will link you to getting the vaccine it completely goes against, you getting the vaccine because of health conditions and things like that. The state of Florida has been in trouble since their governor stepped into office, when we all know that Andrew Gillum should have won the state of Florida in the first place. But now to see like this unfolding in this type of way, it's kind of like I'm ready for like Joe Biden or Madam Vice President Kamala Harris to step into place to kind of make sure that the way the COVID vaccines are being distributed in an honest way, not by wealth or by class, but by age and your health conditions, as they should be, because that's what they promised would happen.
Well, let me ask you this, because you brought up a very good point. We're all at this table obviously bothered by the fact that the city commissioner is rationing this out in such an elitist type way and creating this economic divide when it comes to a health issue. But the state of Florida had a choice, and they chose who they chose. So because they chose this particular governor who is supporting this horrific policy and act that they're doing to implement the vaccine, is this something where we're like, let's help Florida, let's do this, or should we all be looking at this like, well, this is kind of what you asked for, like you guys chose this guy to lead you, this is where he's leading you, this is what you have for the next 4 years or 3.5 years?
I think this is when it's important for us to look outside of our elected officials and look for community influencers, whether you're a healthcare official, whether you're, At the hospital, you are the chief medical officer or the chief nursing officer. It's time that we look to those type of people to see what are they doing to enhance healthcare within their communities. You know, if we see that, only the rich in Florida are the ones getting the vaccinations, at those local community hospitals, what are they doing to make sure that the poor are getting the vaccine as well?
Right.
And I think this is why so many people say it's important for you to pay attention to all of the elected officials,
Absolutely.
not just the president, not just the governor, because this is started and implemented by a city council member. So this is why it's very important that you vote all the way down the ballot and pay attention to your local officials as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Another story that I want to jump into before we run out of time is the fact that Rihanna tweeted a whole situation about this farming issue that was taking place in India. And as a result of that, she has faced a lot of backlash because of that. What do you think of that? Should celebrities be jumping into international issues and bringing light to international issues like Rihanna did?
I think that they should be, because they have these huge platforms, and I think that we're at a time where we want to see more from celebrities. We're not necessarily thinking about what it is that they're wearing and what makeup, like all of these material things. We want to know what you have to say and like what you stand for. I don't think that this is a negative thing. I think she was trying to do something positive. Their reaction to it, the Indian government, I think, is just them not wanting for us to know.
Like outside interference, kind of?
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting that because she shared this with her entire, Rihanna has hundreds of millions of fans.
Right.
And she's sharing an issue of injustice that's going on in another country, and the government is upset about her sharing that these local farmers are being taken advantage of. And they don't want that shared with the world, but why not?
Exactly.
I feel like all of our issues in America are put on the forefront for people to judge or people to help. And so if Rihanna doing this for a positive reason, they should not be mad at it. But I can also see why they're mad at it, because now the Indian government is being looked at like, you're doing something wrong. Why are you doing this to these farmers?
Yeah, and like you said, I think that our celebrities should be getting involved.
Should be.
I mean, I think everyone should be getting involved, because life is bigger than just you. So for Rihanna, life is bigger than just music. Life is bigger than just Fenty. She has said a million times that she wants to make an impact on the world, that she wants to see global change, that she wants to, especially in the realm of women and ethnic people, she wants to see their rights and everything implemented. So this falls right into her wheelhouse for what she said that she was going to do.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I don't see anything wrong with it. And with that, we have much more coming up. Y'all keep it locked. More Talk It Up right after this. Hey, welcome back to Talk It Up. So I want to bring this story to the table. Number one female athlete in the world, some may argue number one athlete in the world, Serena Williams, is in the news yet again. And once again, it has nothing really to do with the game of tennis. Now an ESPN commentator is catching fire for comments that he made about Serena, and ethnically charged comments that he made about Serena, saying that black women are always, I'm paraphrasing, always rolling their eyes. He also went on to say that, it's difficult to even watch a game when Serena's in it because of her passive-aggressive nature. What do you think about this?
I think that it's nothing new for Serena, being that she's faced negative comments about her since the very beginning of her career. She's no stranger to it. It's upsetting because it's still happening. Her actions, the ones that he's referring to, the rolling of the eyes, I think it's an expression. I think she's always so involved in what she's doing, and she's an emotional creature, just as we all are. You're seeing it on the outside, which is probably what he's referring to. But then to make it seem like a negative thing and it to be an attack on black women, that is the frustrating part about it.
I don't like the fact that he targeted and said black women, reacting this way. When I watch Serena play, I see passion in regards to the sport that she plays. She's very passionate about tennis. So when she gets upset about either something that she may have done wrong or a call that was not called correctly, I look at the same way that LeBron James acts. He will go at it with a referee because he's passionate about the game of basketball as she is about the game of tennis. So I hate that they categorize her as a quote-unquote mad black woman because she's passionate about the game that she plays. That's her craft, that's her passion. She should display emotion if she's upset whether she wins or loses, or if a call was not called correctly. She should display some type of emotion. That's her passion. If she didn't, I would question how passionate she was. And I hate that they labeled her as a quote-unquote angry black woman because she shows passion in the game that she loves.
Like you said, yet again, here she's being labeled when this has been going on since she and her sister Venus came into the scene in the first place. You know, initially it was, oh, their hair. It's always the hair that they love to start with the hair. They attacked her with her hair. They attacked Gabby Douglas when she was at the height. Well, not that she's not at the height now, but when she first got on the scene, they talked about her hair. They tried to talk about Simone's hair. They love to start talking about black women in their hair. That's where they always go. Maxine Waters, they have attacked her and her hair, and she's not even an athlete. So I don't understand why there's always this attack on black women, and for this analyst to make this type of comment about her passion, where there's always this passive aggressiveness. She does an eye roll, or she sucks her teeth, or she slams a racket, or whatever. It's a sport. Most athletes, they spend their entire lives cultivating and building and working on their craft to get to these moments where they're in front of millions of people. So there's a lot of passion there. And if, like you said, if something goes wrong, whether it's a call, maybe she makes a misstep and she's like, dang it, I should have done this or I should have done that. You're going to see that. And I want to see my athletes express their passion because, like you said, it shows that they actually care.
Yeah. Exactly. If I'm screaming at the TV, I kind of want you to be screaming with me. You know what I'm saying?
Back at me.
Right. It's just like, it shows that we both are connected to the sport.
Exactly. This picking apart that they do to athletes like Serena Williams, why can't she just play the game? Because everybody else can just play the game and, you know, they either win or they lose and we move on. But it's like, well, she's wearing this and she's doing this.
Right.
Just let them play the game.
Well, there's a saying that they always say. They always come for those that are at the top.
Always.
So she's used to it.
Oh, yeah.
And she rolls with it, and then she comes back even stronger.
She comes back even stronger. She goes even harder in the game. So I know we haven't seen the last of Serena Williams. I also recognize that this will not be the last time that we talk about an analyst or someone that said something completely inappropriate about a woman, a black woman, and especially the female athlete. So we have much more. Y'all keep it locked. More with Talk It Up right after this. Hey, yo, welcome back to Talk It Up. We are so excited about our next guest, who's a director and producer. You're going to love his story and his new project. Please welcome to the Talk It Up table, Nesta Garrick.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for joining us.
Respect.
So let's get into your name right off the top. You know, I think I heard a little birdie tell me that there's some type of historical reference between your name and Bob Marley and Nesta. Tell us all about it.
Oh, yeah, I mean, well, one, my father, who's close friends, was, growing up, like a brother, was Bob Marley. And, I guess to pay tribute to him, when I was born, he gave me his middle name, Nesta. And then also, the story goes from my mom was that, when she was having me, there was a hummingbird nest that was by the window. And, they hatched, had some little baby hummingbirds, so she liked the whole nest vibe. So, so it's a mixture of that and, of course, being named from Bob Marley.
For sure.
Yes, you couldn't have a better name.
Right.
Thank you.
You wear a bunch of different hats. You do a bunch of different things in the industry. You're working on a new documentary. Tell us a little bit about that.
Nice, yes. So I'm actually directing my first feature-length project called Color the Music, and it actually follows the story of the creative director and visionary for Bob Marley and a lot of the biggest reggae albums out there, from Bunny Wailer to Peter Tosh to Steel Pulse, and actually who that person is my father, Neville Garrick. So, I mean, me personally, clearly knowing him, I've known about all the different things that he's done in the sense of he has like the most reggae album covers been there. He's the co-founder of the Bob Marley Museum. He did all of Bob Marley's, biggest album covers and so forth, and actually introduced lighting, into the Jamaica reggae industry. You know, like he was probably one of the first art directors that they had. You know, so I wanted to, you know, if he had a very unique story that I wanted to share within just our culture, and just from a black man, of somebody who came also to America to learn the black struggle, and actually went to UCLA where Angela Davis was his mentor, and so forth. So I mean, there's so many very interesting different things that I personally know, and the relationships of him touring with Bob and all the different histories and backstory. Because right now he's actually, you know, he's been, you know, other than starting the museum and the original foundation, you know, he also still works with the family as a consultant and an archivist, you know, that, you know, because, you know, he's one of the few people alive, but also still knows so much of that history.
Right.
You know, so I just wanted to take this opportunity through this film to share that to not just the reggae fans and fans of Bob Marley and so forth, but also just people, fans of music, and just understanding different cultures in life, and, you know, and how, you know, we have, in different ways, you know, we show black excellence around the world, you know.
That's awesome. So you put on a new hat during COVID. So now you're a father. So now you're
Yeah.
wearing that parental hat. So talk about what it means to right now be, you know, passing on your legacy, and how is it being a parent during like COVID?
It's been, you know, it's been great, actually. It's been a very surprising experience. Not saying that I didn't think it would be awesome or so forth, but because of what my profession at the time was, you know, I was a lighting director. So even, you know, I would tour around the world for like, you know, at least 6 months, 8 months, you know, per year, you know, being busy, you know, doing that. And, you know, even starting COVID and starting this year, you know, my daughter was like about 4 months, and I was actually on a flight heading to go do a show, and the show canceled. And since then, we haven't been doing any concerts. But now, because of this, I've been able to be with my daughter and watch her grow, and do, you know, really taking these experiences that I probably would have missed out of that. So it's been, you know, it's been a blessing in disguise, I would say, and been definitely enjoying being a father.
Yeah, I bet the bedtime stories are very interesting over in that house.
Oh man, what are those? Oh, what are those? No, not when she's a boss.
Oh.
Yeah, so
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I feel sorry for the world. I say that. Trust me, she's anything like me and her mother. I feel sorry for everyone else. But, you know, she's awesome.
That's great.
All right, well, we'll stay right here. We have more questions for you. We have more with Nesta Garrick when we come back right after this. Y'all keep it locked to Talk It Up. Hey, y'all, welcome back to Talk It Up. We are still here with our first guest, Nesta Garrick. And so let's continue on with our interview. I want to ask you, you mentioned that your father was best friends with Bob Marley. Are you still in close contact with the family? How's everything now with you and the Marley clan?
They're great. I mean, you know, other than, of course, with their closeness with my father growing up, they're like family at the same end. But I'm actually I actually work with a lot of them. You know, I work with, you know, with Damian Marley and Stephen Marley, actually, as their lighting director and art director for a lot of their biggest projects. So usually I'd be seeing them all the time.
Right.
You know, within the year, you know, touring and traveling. But of course, you know, during COVID, you know, that has changed a bit, you know, but we still keep in touch. And we still work on different, you know, art projects and, you know, marketing and design. So still keeping in touch.
Okay, I feel it.
And your father, who was really good friends with Bob Marley, why do you think that it's important to tell his story?
You know, I just think that, you know, especially now when you see the documentaries that's going on on Netflix and all these different things, I mean, people are yearning to learn these behind the things and not just want to see, you know, the people that's front and center. They want to know, okay, what built this? You know, the same thing when you look at film, and so it's like, okay, who's the director? Who, you know, who's the writers? Who are these people? Like now, people are so interested in these behind the scenes and what it took for them to do this. So that's one of the things I wanted to definitely show, especially to, you know, in Jamaica as well. You know, and shine a light on that, on Jamaican and our artistry as well, not just known for music and jerk chicken and smoking weed and all this other stuff, but just as a creative empire, and within music, and even as you know already through Usain Bolt. So just another tribute to Jamaica and the culture.
Absolutely.
Can you talk a little bit about what it was growing up with your father attached to such a big name as Bob Marley? How was it in your household?
It was just he was just dad. I mean, I think the only thing now more is I'd be like, oh, I know why a lot of Bob Marley music was playing in the house all the time.
That makes
that makes sense, But I said just dad. Just one thing, just being around him, I guess, was always I was more mesmerized than anything else was his work ethic. Like I still to this day I don't know anybody that like he there's a project going on, he'll take it on and don't sleep for 4 or 5 days straight just to get it done, and just his dedication to doing things that's not driven off of money, but just off the mission. There's just so much meaning behind it. Why he does the things that he do, so he can also put his all in. So it's always something I've always inspired to do with the projects that I work on, and just being the best me I can be, I guess.
That's
Yes.
awesome.
Caribbean culture as a whole, I think there's so much that we need to learn from that culture, and from each location is different. Whether you're in Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, they're all different. So, what are you going to highlight for the viewers about Jamaica? Like, what can you point out as something that they're going to take away that they might not have even, realized that they were missing out on in that culture?
I would say just making the best out of sometimes nothing, of what you have, what you're given. We're in a world where people always be like, oh, if I have the latest iPhone, I could be able to do this, or have the, we're always thinking that we need to have the best things to do progress or move on. And, in the islands, if you look into the history of reggae music and just how that's created and so forth, and the bass sound and things like that, or the different rhythms that's played, I mean, some of them is not even no big time keyboards or Casio. Or I don't want to just misquote saying exactly the mark, but it's not. You made the use of what you got,
Right.
And and with that, still able to create greatness and timeless things. Even when they used to do lighting, they didn't have park cans. They would make their own lighting can, using the paint canisters and add in a light in there, and then put in using different wrappers to change the colors and things like that. So I just wanted to also show that side of it.
Yeah, I know. I didn't mean to cut you off. That's
No,
like,
no.
If real quick, because I know we're running out of time, but
Okay.
you mentioned the lighting, and I know that you have a lighting background. Can you explain to our audience the importance of lighting for anything that you're doing?
Oh.
Because a lot of people, they just don't know. So
Yeah.
educate the people on
Well, it's
lighting.
funny. I think that some people, and that's when I talk to people and say I do lighting for concerts and things like that, they'll be like,
Right.
okay, what does that entail? And then when I explain to them, they go to a concert, they come back, it's like, I didn't even notice that, because lighting it's something that has feelings, especially colors and emotions that you don't even realize is playing in your subconscious.
Yes.
And brings in a certain energy. And to me, it's one of the most important things. I tease audio crew all the time. I'm being like, if they wanted to just listen to the audio, they could just listen to the CD.
Right.
They came to see a show.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? These people are coming with their eyes and their ears to capture, and you're here to give them an experience. Right. And so that's been the joy of doing lighting and so forth. That you feel like you're like another member of the band. Like you're here to. Just with them, you're jamming with them, and you're giving the impulse. Things are speeding up, or things are moving with different colors. Just you're here to paint. As you said, it goes back to the title of the documentary. You're here to color the music.
Yeah.
And so you're back to that.
Because when I go see Beyonce, I look at the lights and the fan.
Yeah.
They both matter.
They both matter. The lights and the fan matter for Beyonce.
I'm saying, and the visuals. I mean, you go to Beyonce concert, and as I said, yes, you see her, you see Jay-Z and them perform, but then you see the walls open up, right? You see the different, the different contents and things like that happening, and that's even like why I even started from lighting, and then, decided to even do visuals for the shows. Okay, well, now I can create moving content to talk about the music and all these different things that I'm like, this is great, And so that's also the beauty of technology. As if you talk about the Beyonce shows or Jay-Z, or even from a small band, I mean, with that, you're able to now even not just have the band playing and the colors. Now you can even show visuals of of what the experience is supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we want to thank you for stopping by. You are more than welcome to come back to this
Oh
table
man,
anytime.
anytime.
We are here for
We're
you.
only
I'll be
steps
here
away.
soon.
Right.
So we want to thank Nesta Garrick for stopping by. Please make sure you check out his documentary the moment it is available, and of course we'll have it for you here on Talk It Up. So one more time, let's give it up for Nesta Garrick, and y'all keep it locked.
Thank you,
More
guys.
Talk
Thank
It
you.
Up right after this. Welcome back to Talk It Up. We want to thank Nesta Garrick for stopping by and hanging with us. But before you go, we have one more topic to bring to you. This is a good one. I'm excited about this particular story. Rapper, singer Lauryn Hill, her famed, iconic, now legendary album from 1999 that won her she was the first artist to win 5 Grammy Awards in one night. Before Alicia Keys, before Beyonce, before anybody else, there was Lauryn Hill. She was the first one to do this. And that album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, has now been certified diamond, which means it has sold more than 10 million records. And she's the first female rapper to do so. How amazing is that? An album from 1999 has now gone diamond.
Better late than never. I think it's well deserved. The album is iconic. Everybody knows who Lauryn Hill is. She is a legend in the music industry, and I think she deserves it. Yeah, better late than never.
23 years later, as you said, better late than never, but also it's great to honor those 90s stars who put in so much work and put in so much to kind of captivate the culture that is today. Lauryn Hill was one of those people that we loved her music growing up. And then she kind of faded away. And she didn't fade away because her music faded away. I think that her passion for being a celebrity wasn't there.
Right.
But her craft was amazing. It was great to see that now we can reward her. And I'm excited to see, how they do like the celebrations like the Soul Train and they honor people. I would be excited to see what they do for Lauryn Hill.
Yeah.
What's exciting about this, beyond the fact that she's the first, and I know we always talk about the first, but beyond that, what's exciting is that there's this resurgence. I don't know if it's the quarantine situation and us being home all the time, but there's a black art from the 90s, television shows, movies, music, they're all just seeing this resurgence of just like appreciation. Maybe we didn't appreciate them. Well, I think the culture appreciated them, but society didn't really appreciate them while they were out because those black shows, Family Matters, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Martin, all of those, they didn't get Emmy Awards and all of those things. Like they got overlooked all the time. So I love the fact that now they're getting their just due.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's exciting that, people are introducing their children to Martin, Lauryn Hill, some of the iconic people that were staples in our childhood. So I think that's what's making them resurface is because now the generation, what do we call them, Generation X?
Z.
We're
at the end.
Generation, I sound real old. What's that generation called?
Generation B.
Yeah, Generation Z is now seeing the 90s stuff and they're like, they love it.
They love it.
I just seen a 16-year-old, she had like a 90s party and they were just so excited to like dress like the 90s. And I kind of chuckled like, wait a minute.
Right.
Wait
we still
a
just like the
second.
90s.
Right.
Because the 90s was everything.
Right.
What's even cooler is that the artists and the shows that are now kind of coming back up to the surface from the 90s, they weren't even expecting this. The shows that are coming back up and Lauryn Hill, I'm pretty sure everybody has kind of moved on. They put those projects out and have, they're doing other things now, but
It's
we're
back, and
we're
it's been
celebrating
The 90s
it
is
once
in.
again.
The
We're
90s are
celebrating.
in, And with that said, y'all, we want to thank you all for hanging with us on Talk It Up. We definitely want to thank Nesta Garrick for stopping by and hanging with us. Make sure you tune in for another amazing episode of Talk It Up.